Hello and welcome to Guns and Gear. And today is the day after Veterans Day. Watch out, Sarge. And I chose to wait to make my video because I have some things that I want to say that just may not have been appropriate to say on Veterans Day. First of all, here in the United States, we celebrate Veterans Day on November the 11th. And of course, our American citizens, I hope, know that the reason for that is on the 11th day of the 11th month, at the 11th hour, the armistice went into effect that ended World War I. And for many years after that, this day was called Armistice Day. Okay? But it was later changed to Veterans Day to celebrate all veterans of all wars in the United States. Now, if you look back at our short history, we've had a good many wars that we have been involved in. Okay? So therefore, pretty much every generation has had to deal with affairs for veterans. And quite honestly, as we look through that history, sometimes we have failed our veterans. All right. As one example I will give you, after the end of World War I, and after our economy had really taken a big hit, there were veterans that still hadn't been given what they were promised by our United States federal government. And the veterans actually banded together once again. They marched on Washington and protested. Okay? It probably looked very much familiar to us today as the different occupations that are going on in Wall Street and other cities. Okay? What happened next, though, may surprise you if you don't already know. The federal government sent the Army in to break it up, to break up the protest of veterans. Veterans just asking for what they were promised. That organized effort to break up that protest, by the way, was done by a general who had become extremely famous in World War II and Korea, General Douglas MacArthur. So that puts things in perspective as an example that we sometimes fail our vets. Now, a lot of people tell me that's past history, that can never happen today. Well, I certainly hope not that particular thing. But let's talk about some of the ways we are failing our veterans today. By the way, who is responsible for taking care of our veterans? Is it our federal government? No, sir, it is not. It is you and it is me. Okay? It is the private citizen of the United States that has the duty and responsibility to take care of our veterans. You know, our veterans are often comprised of our most precious resource, and that is our young people. Okay? And it is the duty and the responsibility of the American citizen to ensure that that precious resource is only used when absolutely necessary, and that they are equipped well, and that they are led well, and that they are taken care of. It's not the president's responsibility. It's not Congress. It is the United States private citizen. You know, there's a lot of people that I have watched some of the political videos here on YouTube, and some folks really like to quote our founding fathers. Well, one quote that I learned in high school that has really stuck into my head, and I often repeat it, is the most important job in government is private citizen. And that was from one of our founding fathers. That was from Ben Franklin. And to be quite honest with you, I have no interest in making political videos. I think we need to be aware of politics. We need to have steadfast opinions, and we need to learn the respect of others. These are some of the foundations of our nation, right? At any rate, my parents raised me to be civically responsible. My parents spent a great deal of time to instill in me the importance of being a private citizen. My mother was born in 1919, and she saw a lot of things in her life. Okay. During World War II, my mother worked 10 hours a night building Liberty ships for the war effort right here in Norfolk. How about that? My mom was kind of like Rosie the Riveter, as some of us who follow history have heard that term before. You know, that was a war where every citizen had to take part in one way or the other, maybe through sacrifice. You couldn't go and buy the sugar, the gas, the rubber, the tires, things of that nature. All those things were very limited to the private citizen because they needed those resources for the war effort. And even still more individuals took part in the war effort by working in the factories, which to me was just as important as the soldier in the field. Because if the soldier in the field can't get there, or if he doesn't have a rifle, or if he doesn't have the ammo, or if he doesn't have the food or any other of the equipment that he needs, he's ineffective. During World War II, the citizens of the United States, like no other wars before or since, were intimately involved. Maybe that's another reason we refer to them as the greatest generation. Now, today, unfortunately, within the last 10 years and the hostilities that our armed forces has fought in Afghanistan, Iraq, so forth, what are the stories that we hear? We hear great stories of bravery from our troops. From these same young people, as a matter of fact, that us older folks like to put down as being lazy and unpatriotic. But what we also see is our failure to our veterans, to those young people who are coming home with horrendous injuries, who are coming home needing of help, and we are not providing that. Now, I could bring up the stories at the medical hospitals where the combat soldiers coming home aren't getting the treatment that they need. Walter Reed Hospital. Or I could talk about the story that I just heard about and actually had to research in my own newspaper here, website, about body parts and bodies actually being dumped in a landfill. Combat dead being treated in such a way. It's hard to put into words how I feel about that, other than to say every individual involved should be tried publicly. Every individual involved, from the lowest ranking military person to the highest ranking officer, contractor, civilian contractors, whoever. We cannot let something like that stand for our military to be treated as such. Now, yesterday I watched a lot of stuff on different news channels, and I like to float around and get perspective from different channels who have different leanings. And one thing that I heard on a couple of the different channels is that our veterans, as a group, have a very high unemployment rate. And I think that's a shame. I think that's a shame on us, on you and me. You know, that same thing happened after Korea, according to my father. That same thing happened after World War II, according to my uncles. I watched it happen when my brother came home from Vietnam. You know, I don't really care if you're Republican or Democrat, if you're far right, far left, or something in between. What I do care about is that you do your duty and be involved. And no matter what your leaning is politically, and whether you think we should have a massive army or a small army or whatever the case may be, we have to take care of the people who stood up, took an oath to protect us, and then followed through. This is probably one of the closest things you'll get as a political rant from me, as I choose not to make political videos. But I do think the subject is important. How can a people who brag about their military so much as we do fall so short in taking care of our military when they come home? For those of you people that support businesses, why is it then our businesses aren't patriotic enough to hire our veterans when they come home? To you people that believe in big government and involvement, how is it that our government has treated our military with such disrespect? Body parts and remains discarded in a landfill? Oh, I'm sorry, they were cremated. That makes it better, right? Is that going to be our position? Not mine. See, our veterans are here 365 days a year. They need to be thought of more than one day a year. That responsibility is yours and mine. And right now, I think we're failing our veterans. At any rate, I thank you for watching this video. I know that this video is not something that you are used to seeing on my channel. This subject is very important to me. And quite honestly, I started this channel, okay, because I enjoyed watching videos. I started making videos for two reasons, but the most important reason was my grandson. I had some health conditions which made me aware of my mortality. And today, my grandson is only 3.5 years old. And just in case I'm not around, I would like for him to know some of the things that I enjoy, the passion that I have for guns, my interests, and some of my opinions on things. We need to strive to be more civically responsible. We need to strive to be more respectful of people's views. Because here in the United States, we're allowed to have a multitude of different views. If you don't like what's going on, then get involved with like-minded people and try to affect change. You see, our government doesn't govern us. We, as a citizen, a private citizen, we choose to send people to represent our views in the form of government, whether that be local, state, or federal. So if there's something going on, and just to kick back and say, the government, they're running everything, and this, that, and the other. This guy, this president, this congressman, this senator, that's a cop-out, my friends. That's a cop-out. Because they don't elect themselves, okay? We still barely break over 50% in a presidential election. Shame on us. We just had local elections here in Virginia, and from what I understand, all over the United States. What was the percentage of turnout? Did you vote? We need to do our duty. One of our main duties is taking care of our military. For those of you who have served, thank you very much. I am a grateful citizen to all of our branches of our military. Thank you. Thank you for watching my video. And remember to shoot straight on the range and in life. Thanks.